This is a CivilNet special report about the attack on Jerusalem's Armenian quarter. On Thursday, a piece of land in the Armenian quarter called the Cow's Garden was the site of a violent attack staged by a masked group of about 30 men. The property has been the epicenter of a dispute between developers and the local Armenian community, who have been vocally opposed to a deal conducted by the Patriarchate to lease the land for 99 years. The Armenian community in Jerusalem has already been dwindling, with other properties sold off in the past, and the size of the Cow's Garden has been described as being up to 1/4 of the entire Armenian quarter. Residents fear that the loss of such a major property will bring the 1600-year-old Armenian presence in the Holy City one step closer to extinction. A grassroots movement called Save the Armenian Quarter mobilized in resistance, and in late October the Patriarchate sent a letter to the luxury hotel developer Zana Gardens, which had leased the land, that it was pulling out of the deal. Residents staged an around-the-clock sit-in at the site to protect it, and on November 5th they were confronted by a group described as Israeli settler extremists who were shouting threats and demanding the Armenians leave the area. The community, including clerics of the Patriarchate, have continued to stand guard since, as the legal process is ongoing. It is in this context that yesterday's attack occurred, which an urgent communique issued by the Patriarchate described as a massive and coordinated physical attack. It claims that priests and seminarians were among the injured, and that the attack was in response to the submission of a lawsuit to the District Court of Jerusalem about the property the day prior. It specifically placed blame for the attack on Zana's majority shareholder Danny Rothman and his business partner George Warwar, and demanded they be investigated by the Israeli government and police. While yesterday's attack has been widely attributed in reports and social media to Israeli Jewish settlers like the previous one, in fact the situation seems to be even more complicated. A police spokesman has said that the masked men were determined to have in fact been Israeli Arabs from the northern part of the country. Jerusalem's deputy mayor Fleur Hassan Nahum replied to the Patriarchate's communique, claiming the incident to be merely Muslim Arab men in a fight with Armenian men. This would seem to indicate a multi-ethnic character to the dispute, and indeed, while the lead investor Rothman is Jewish, his business partner Warwar is an Arab Christian. The religious affiliation of the attackers has not been specified at this point, and it is the belief of the Armenian community that they were specifically hired to intimidate them. According to an article by Jerusalem-based reporter Nicole Johnsezian, another troubling incident occurred shortly afterwards at one of the gates to the Armenian quarter. A man she described as appearing to be dressed like an observant Jew was holding a large poster which read in Hebrew, "Racism and anti-Semitism from the Armenian Patriarch against a Jewish developer." Another poster accused Bishop Koryun Baghdasaryan of threatening to kill the Jewish developer. In response, Baghdasaryan told Johnsezian these are lies, stating, "There is no anti-Semitism in the Armenian quarter and not any in Armenia at all." This reference to Armenia is a reminder of last month's arson attempt on a Yerevan synagogue, believed to have been a false flag carried out by somebody who came to Armenia for that specific purpose. The footage of the arson was then widely shared by Azerbaijani social media accounts attempting to portray Armenia as anti-Semitic. Such accounts have also shared videos of this latest attack in Jerusalem, siding with the developer and using it to condemn Armenians once again. These attacks on the Yerevan synagogue and the Patriarchate come at a particularly sensitive time, shortly after the October 7th massacre by Hamas against Israel and the resulting ground offensive into Gaza, which is said to have killed thousands of Palestinians. As for Azerbaijan, it often boasts of its close ties with Israel, which include Israel receiving a large percentage of its oil from Azerbaijan, while Israeli weapons played a decisive role in Azerbaijan's success conquering Nagorno-Karabakh. Earlier today, Save the Armenian Quarter announced that its two members who had been arrested by Israeli police during the attack were released by the Jerusalem Magistrates Court with minor conditions and will not be subject to further detention. However, yesterday's attack was a disturbing new escalation in a story which is far from over. As one of the organization's leaders, Hagop Jernazyan, told Johnsezian yesterday, "It was like a war zone. It was something very different from previous times." His colleague Setrak Balyan believes that the developer Warwar and a Jewish settler organization are behind the attack in an attempt to pit Armenians against Muslims and Arabs and other groups in the old city. They are telling these groups that you are going against settlers. No one is giving them the full information. They are getting paid to attack us. This is a very typical modus operandi of settler organizations. Stay with CivilNet for continuing updates on this developing story, and for more context on the complexities of it, check out our two-part documentary from Jerusalem linked in the video description.